deal. Here's the bottom line. Harry and Meghan have become hate figures for much of Britain, never mind the British media, for two reasons. The first is James Baldwin's timeless quote. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hate so stubbornly is because they sense once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. And the second reason is that they gave the finger to Fleet Street. And Fleet Street won't accept that. I sometimes wonder whether, if my old man hadn't been made redundant by the Daily Telegraph, I would have been one of the people leading the line of attack on these two. Because when you've got Fleet Street in your blood, when you've got ink in your blood, any attempt to lead your life as if we're not in charge is greeted with absolute fury. Look at what happens if you dare to stand up to the British tabloid media. They will kick you round the room until you're bruised and bloodied, and quite possibly, in the case of the Duchess of Sussex, of course, contemplating the worst possible way out of that level of abuse and unkindness. And yet they carried on. They refused to buckle. They tried to play by the rules. They sought the kind of deal that royals have been securing through the ages in their dealings with Fleet Street. They tried to get a kind of a hiatus, a reprieve, a ceasefire, but they didn't. They didn't get it. The palace, for good or for ill, did not come in on behalf of Prince Harry and his wife and demand that the vampires of Fleet Street stop sucking their blood every morning. So they decided to do everything their own way. They decided to rewrite their own rulebook and live entirely by that. They decided that they would not dance to anybody's tune but their own. They are not perfect. They are not infallible. Some of the stuff they do is a little bit silly, but my goodness me, they're brave. Imagine that. Imagine growing up in that goldfish bowl and deciding that you're going to smash the glass and see whether or not you can survive. That's what they can never be forgiven for. And nobody understands this better than the Fleet Street machine that needs the royal family just as much as the royal family needs the Fleet Street machine. That relationship is not parasitic, as I used to think. It's symbiotic. There are lines that will never be crossed. And if the unexpected or the unprecedented happens, then the reaction will be negotiated. How can we possibly live in a land where the late Queen's second son, Andrew Windsor, is treated more gently and more quietly, calmly, insert whatever adverb you prefer, than her youngest grandson, or rather the King's youngest son, the current King's youngest son? How can we possibly live in a land where Andrew Windsor is talked of in the same breath as Prince Harry? Think about that for a minute. That's been done because of a deal, whether implicit or explicit, between the royal family and the Fourth Estate, the media, the newspapers. You can keep your access, you can come on your tours, we'll answer your questions. But the other lad, he's out of favour now. And his wife, open season. You can do whatever the hell you want with her. You can write what you want, you can say what you want, you can print what you want, you can broadcast whatever you want about her. I know what you're thinking. Didn't exactly end well, where we gave you the same free pass on Harry's mum. But hey-ho, the world has turned. That memory has faded a bit. So open season on Meghan Markle. Write what you want, say what you want, do what you want. So they did. And they continue to do so, which is why even today, the front pages of every newspaper are somehow turning the fact that they are more interesting than his brother and sister-in-law into something of which they are guilty. Netflix trailer steals the spotlight from Waleses. It's absolutely pathetic. Breathtakingly pathetic, actually, that the machine, the war machine of Fleet Street is now so devoid of justification for its bile that they're claiming the release date of a Netflix film is a declaration of war. And do you know what? I hope it is. I hope it is, because if my wife had been treated like his wife has been treated, all bets would be off. If I had gone to my brother and asked him to help me protect my wife from the kind of abuse that Meghan Markle has been exposed to, and that abuse seeps from mainstream media to social media and drips into every corner of Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. And my brother had turned around to me and said, yeah, well, there it is. So I'd be declaring war. If this was 400 years ago, I'd be raising a flag on Hounslow Heath and contemplating a coup for the crown. But those days are over. The prize today is just PR. The prize today is public image. And here, finally, is the question. It's just envy, isn't it? The whole point of the attacks upon Prince Harry and his wife, whether they're coming from within the palace, on the record, off the record, nowhere near the record, or whether it's coming from Fleet Street, is because they're simply better at everything. They're better at PR. They're more media savvy. They're more articulate. They're more empathetic. Crucially, they're more accomplished. Look at their careers. Compare their careers. They're more accomplished and they're more attractive. So here is the real sin of Harry Windsor. And this only occurred to me last night. It's box fresh. I'm going to throw open the phone lines and you can kick it to pieces if you want on 0345 6060973. But the real reason for the hatred, the viciousness, and this astonishing level of abuse is because they make a complete mockery of royalty itself. The idea that he gets the top job and he sits in the sidecar for the rest of his life is absolutely absurd. But we can never ever admit that because it shakes the very foundations of the royal family. So, do you think that the real reason why Prince Harry and his wife have been turned into public enemies numbers 1 and 2 in this country is because